Before you watch this episode of our cityCURRENT radio show, I want to personally invite you to join cityCURRENT's e-learning and online personal development platform called GrowthCurrent. I'm Jeremy Park, host of the cityCURRENT radio show and CEO of cityCURRENT. GrowthCurrent is your exclusive ticket to attend virtual events with global thought leaders, national guest speakers, and experts who can help you grow personally and professionally. It gives you access to success secrets, lessons learned, learning modules, and so much more. Subscriptions are only $8 a month, or you can do bulk subscriptions for your team. Being online, you can access this anywhere around the world. So check out growthcurrent.co to learn more, and let's power the good together. That's growthcurrent.co to learn more. And now, on to the show. Welcome back to the cityCURRENT radio show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're honored to be joined by our next guest, both with Care for AIDS. We're here with Justin Miller. He's the co-founder and CEO, and Melanie Passons, donor engagement manager. So both with Care for AIDS. Let's start, Justin, on your end. Being the co-founder and CEO, this is a personal passion on your end, a personal storyline, you and two others. So let's start with some history for Care for AIDS.
Well, thanks, Jeremy, for having us on. I've been on this journey now for about 13 years. And when I was first confronted with the HIV pandemic, I was 18 years old. I had no idea of what was happening around the world. And I'm afraid, like many other Americans, they were in the similar boat, that we just didn't understand the scope and scale of this crisis that was happening. And I actually was at a conference in Chicago just shy of my 19th birthday, and I heard Bono give a presentation about the global response of NGOs and governments to this crisis and the noticeable absence of the church in responding to it. And his challenge to a group of about 8,000 pastors live there at that event was that this is one of the greatest humanitarian crises of our generation, and the church is missing, is absent. And in his opinion, that was unacceptable. And in my opinion as well, as a young person, I felt there was something that really struck a chord with me. And I had no interest previously in working in the social sector or the humanitarian arena, but there was something I just couldn't shake about that challenge. And he said in that presentation that at the time, only 6% of what we'd consider the community of faith in the U.S. felt a responsibility to care for people with HIV and AIDS. And I was admittedly part of that 94% that didn't really know a lot or care to know much about this epidemic. And so that set me on a journey to East Africa the following summer, where I met two remarkable Kenyan leaders named Cornell and Duncan, two Kenyan guys recently out of seminary. And our meeting was really providential because in this country of 40 million in Kenya, these were two guys that shared that same heartbeat for this very marginalized group of people. And over the next month of traveling around the country together, we actually filmed a documentary about this issue. We developed a deep bond and a realization that we need to develop a partnership and launch an organization to specifically address this cause. And so that is eventually in the year 2007, how this organization was born. And we've been working on this for the last 13 years.
I want to point out, because you go through some stats on your website and then just information that you share on your end, but globally in 2019, there were 1.7 million new infections, 690,000 AIDS-related deaths. 59% of those new infections, 300,000 total deaths, were in sub-Saharan Africa. And so when you talk about the sheer numbers of this is a very critical work that you do. And so share kind of the scope of what you see, and then obviously what you're doing about it, because you're pouring in and you've got some big numbers on your end, over 18,000 served, but you're taking it in a very holistic, almost one-on-one approach.
Yeah, that's where we believe that the most impact can be created, because a lot of the work that just touches either one aspect of this disease or is kind of just a surface level intervention really won't create the lasting impact that we need. We need to have interventions that are based in relationships and trust and over a longer period of time. And so our work, even though the numbers are bigger and it feels like we're kind of still just a small drop in the bucket, we believe that the people that we're finding and serving are the most vulnerable. They're kind of the bottom 5% of those that without some kind of care are either most likely would die of this disease within a relatively short time, or have a high likelihood of continuing to transmit it to those around them. And so we have targeted our work to those that are the most vulnerable. And when you think about the 20,000 people that we've served to date and their families and their dependents, we're talking about over almost 100,000 people that have been kind of directly impacted because of the services. So the need is great. We are making progress. Unfortunately, like many things in the world, COVID is going to pose some new challenges, as a lot of services around HIV have been disruptive. And we might see a spike in new infections and also AIDS-related deaths in the coming years as a result of this. So we think we are positioned really well to address this need, whereas most interventions are done in a very kind of singular focus around kind of medical interventions. We believe wholeheartedly this has to address the many different facets of this disease: physical, social, economic, emotional, and spiritual as well.
Before we switch over to Melanie, dive in a little bit in terms of just how it works. So we're talking about obviously the holistic approach and obviously the numbers on your end, but give us an idea of kind of how this works on your end in terms of really walking alongside and the program overall.
Yeah, we've selected 68 communities right now. We hope that number will continue to grow, but we've chosen 68 communities because of the need that we've identified there, where HIV is very prevalent and levels of material poverty are very high. And in those communities, we partner with a like-minded church that wants to see this community transformed. And that's critical for our model. All of our services actually are provided through the local church. We then select local staff people to work with that local church to reach their community. And then in our urban model, which is about 95% of our programs right now are in urban context, our program is 9 months long. And over that 9 months, we try to address those different aspects of somebody's life that I just mentioned. And we do that a lot through one-on-one counseling, group therapy, economic empowerment training, helping people learn how to start small businesses and provide for their family, spiritual care and discipleship, and then also providing for their immediate physical needs, like providing food and medical support for this group of people. So and then our hope is that at the end of 9 months, they are connected to a group of people and to a church. They've been given all the tools and skills they need to live a thriving life. And then we graduate them from the program and we take another class on and begin the process again.
Yeah, and it's a huge number of those who then, when you talk about working through the church, who then see Christ and are really driven to then be Christians because of your work, which is a really powerful piece of this equation as well.
The conversations that we get to have, and it's not a conversation that says you have to believe this to receive this. It's where our doors are open to anybody that wants to come. And amazingly, probably about 20% of our clients, which at any given time is about 5,000 individuals, about 20% of those are Muslim individuals who feel safe and welcome in a local church to come and explore topics of faith. And we just get to build a relationship over this time. And a lot of people do say, for the first time, I'm seeing what Jesus looks like in the flesh. I'm seeing what this kind of compassion looks like from the church, which I've never experienced before. And I want to know more about this God. And that's an open door for us to have that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. So Melanie, let's go ahead and switch over on your end, donor engagement manager. Talk about, because on your end, you get to see the local support that then carries over into the international outreach. And so you're working in Memphis and in Nashville. I know you've also got Atlanta, and so you've got some different areas here in the US, but talk about building local support to obviously fund this important work.
Yeah, so I'm based here in Nashville, and I mean, the most wonderful part of my job is that I get to take what Justin just shared and share that with others here locally. And it's always just a reminder of what else is happening in the world and how they can be a part of it. And especially as believers, what our call is to be and to act and to say. And so I'm based here, and I get to have these conversations with people and invite them on this beautiful journey with us, one of the great things that we get to do is take people to East Africa to see our work firsthand. And it's an opportunity for people to visit with those who are most impacted by our program. You get to go in their homes, have a meal with them, ask questions, and really just listen, learn, but also be an example of Christ, be the hands and feet of Jesus here on earth. And so that's one of the great things that we get to do. And we take parents, we take families. Another great opportunity is for parents to kind of translate what we do in East Africa. How can we take that back, and how can we apply that here in our own church, in our communities, in our schools? How can we teach these values of love and serve to our children? How can we connect them to the work that Care for AIDS is doing in East Africa, and show them those values that we're learning, and translate that into their schools, community, church, all of those places. So really, it's just an invitation to be a part of what God is doing through our work in East Africa.
Share, Justin, on your end, you mentioned the fact that COVID, obviously 19, the pandemic has changed a lot of things, but for either one of you, share how you can kind of still engage everyone. And to your point, you may not be able to physically go overseas right now, but you can still be connected through technology, through stories, through videos, to still be able to carry that connection and the story and the impact so that we can see it here locally, your work overseas. Talk about kind of what you're doing now to still maintain that connection and share the story.
Social media is huge right now and everyone's using it, but even what we're doing now, Zoom, we're getting on Zoom calls, we're getting on phone calls, we're still getting stories from our team in East Africa. Their work has not stopped. It looks different because they have also gone remote. Our staff in East Africa is at home with their kids, but we have a great reach rate with our clients via the phone every week. So they're still getting the counseling, the care, the love, the attention. It just looks different. So we're still hearing stories of transformation. So over here, we just want to make sure our supporters and those who are interested in our work are hearing those same stories, that we may be sheltered in place, but God is still doing an amazing work, and we want everyone to know that that's still happening. So whether that's through sharing stories on our social media, having phone calls or Zoom calls with people, slowly but surely getting out in a coffee with someone, we just want to make sure that even though it feels like sometimes it's one step forward and two steps back in this season, that God is still working and things are still happening and they're a part of it.
Yeah, I love it. Carry that forward into how we can help, because obviously financial contributions are huge to underwrite your efforts, but talk about the different ways that we can help.
We're believing that trips will happen again one day, and they're not happening right now, but we invite your listeners to come with us and see the work firsthand, and we are just praying that those will be able to happen once more very soon. Another is, I would love to just sit down with your listeners and share a deeper dive into Care for AIDS and what God is doing, how they or their families or their church may be involved, whether that's financially or just as a prayer partner or going on a trip with us. I think that would be one huge way is, I'd love to meet you and share with you.
Nice. Justin, go ahead and talk about on your end, one success story or a story that puts a smile on your face. Obviously, you get to see the impact firsthand. So share a little bit of kind of an illustration of what that looks like.
One of the stories that comes to mind, and as Melanie said, we live off of these stories. We thrive on them because they remind us of what's going on the ground. I think of Daisy. Daisy is somebody you can learn about on our website now. We got to know her a lot over the last couple of years as we saw her come to our program, and she was unable to walk because of an injury that she had to her leg. And our staff was able to get her into physical therapy and help her begin to get the treatment that she needed to learn how to walk. And by the end of the program, she was able to walk up on her own strength to receive the certificate with her peers as she graduated from the program. And the transformation was much deeper than that. But what we can always see the most evidently is sometimes these just radical physical transformations that happen over the course of 9 months. And her story just puts a smile on my face as I see her her walking again, but also experiencing a whole new level of confidence in herself and in her spiritual transformation as well. She's just a powerful example of somebody that has experienced both the physical and the spiritual transformation in the program.
We've covered a lot of territory, but give me one more thing that you wish everybody knew about your efforts that they might not know. So what's one thing you want everyone to know about Care for AIDS?
I want people to know that HIV and AIDS is still a force to be reckoned with in the world. And I want people in the midst of a lot of things that are taking our attention away. We know that it's hard to keep all of these things in the top of our mind, but that this group of people in Africa and other parts of the world is still one of the groups that I believe is the most vulnerable. And I think we easily forget about them. And so I would encourage you to keep them top of mind in your prayers and your support and in using your voice to help share what's happening with this pandemic, because we have made a lot of strides in progress towards to kind of eliminating this disease, but we still have a long way to go. So that'd be my encouragement.
We'll go ahead and wrap up and talk about website, social media. Where do we go to learn more?
Yeah, so we have a website, careforaids.org, where you can learn a lot about the problem, the solution, our team, ways to get involved. And we also have all the social media accounts. We have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We've tried to utilize some Instagram lives during this season. We don't think we're perfect at it, but we are trying. So that would be great ways to follow us. You can also sign up for some different initiatives we have, like Families for Families, if you're interested in ways to kind of connect, love, and serve with your children here at home. You can sign up for that there. But I'd say those are the big accounts to follow. And if you're interested about reading deeper into the wonderful story about Care for AIDS, Justin and our two Kenyan co-founders, Cornell and Duncan, wrote a book last October, Beyond Blood, Hope and Humanity in the Forgotten Fight Against AIDS. And you can purchase that and be inspired. And I'd say that forgotten, that's what we want our clients in East Africa to know, that they are not forgotten, that they are loved deeply, not only by us, but by their creator.
Well, that's an amen right there. So Justin and Melanie, thank you for all you do. You and your team, thank you for coming on the show. Greatly appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you.